Let's move to Tennessee, where Aftyn Behn did lose that special election last night, but the margin was single digits. So this is a plus 22 GOP district that Aftyn Behn was expected to eat away at that margin and did. Again, 22, Aftyn Behn loses by 8 points to Republican Matt Van Epps. 8 points is a margin Republicans are still feeling pretty comfortable about. I saw some in the GOP consultant type world, like Matt Whitlock, saying it's basically a 5-alarm fire because if there are margin erosions like this, so 14 points in other swing districts in the midterms, that's going to be a bloodbath for House Republicans. Obviously, that math is true. Right on the other hand, special elections are special elections. We could put C1 on the screen. These are the results. And this is Tennessee's 7th, obviously, to replace Mark Green. About 97,000 votes as of right now, 95% of votes in for Van Epps, and about 81,000 votes for Aftyn Behn. So we're looking at 54 to 45, basically. And Aftyn Behn, I think, Ryan, coming to 45, nearly half of the electorate, is definitely a win for populists. She didn't get it quite as close as people wanted to. Some people thought maybe she actually had a chance to win. Didn't come down to anything quite that close.
In order to win, she would have needed kind of this almost contradictory situation, which would have been enormous excitement on the Democratic side and very little attention from the Republican side.
Right.
And so you've had this debate break out online, which has said that Aftyn Behn was too left, for the district. So you've got the Glacius types saying if they had run a very boring centrist candidate who you couldn't hit with anything, then actually she would have performed even better.
Wrong.
Yeah, the problem with that analysis, and besides just vibes and feelings and like the biased because we like her and I share her politics. The problem with that analysis is that she blew it out of the water in Nashville. And, she wins, 78-22 there. Expanded her margin over Harris by like 30 or something.
Which, by the way, is kind of ironic because the people in Nashville are the people who actually love Nashville, who should have been devastated by that clip of Aftyn Behn saying she hated Nashville. Right. And the people outside of Nashville are already going to be the ones that are
They're the ones that hate Nashville. They
anyway,
actually do hate Nashville.
Just a little point.
Yeah, and what Behn was saying also was she hates the Times Square tourist part of Nashville. So she also had this one quote that was in every ad where she said, "I'm a very radical person." And so the centrists are like, that kills you. It's like, okay, but the fact that she had so much support among Democrats created a situation where she had thousands of door knockers and phone bankers and an enthusiastic base of support that then put her within 2 percentage points in the polls, which then brought in millions of dollars from Republicans. So it's sort of like a chicken and egg situation. Like, okay, if you have a boring candidate who doesn't generate any excitement among Democrats, then it's true that you might not get the millions of dollars being spent by Republicans. And then in a super low turnout special election, you might be able to eke out those last 9 points and you might be able to claim that district. But the problem, let's even say that that's possible. The problem there is that that's not representative of what the midterms are going to look like. So turnout wound up being roughly what it was, I think, in 2022 in this special election, which is really unusual. Like it's hard to match a midterm with a special election turnout. So people were tuned in here. And why that matters is that in the upcoming midterms of 2026, you're not going to be able to sneak through. Like everybody's going to know there's an election happening. So you actually want to play, and if this is an exhibition match, you want to play on as similar conditions as possible to the regular midterms. So now you know that in a district like this, plus 20, 20 plus district, Republican district, you can look for about a 13-point swing, 13, 14-point swing. Whereas if you ran some boring centrist who snuck through
Yeah.
just based on anti-Trump turnout,
Yeah.
that doesn't tell you as much. So that would be my counter argument to the Iglesias types, that they might actually be right, that if you could have kept turnout to half of what it was, that maybe enough of that tilts Democratic. But so what? Like, you then get annihilated in November in that same district.
Yeah, and I don't think Aftyn Behn, no offense, is the best candidate. I don't think anyone would say that somebody who had such a candid podcast is the best candidate.
You should have said it was PTSD from the war.
Something like that. But the idea
from
that...
the culture wars, PTSD from the culture wars.
From the culture wars, well, we all have that. But the idea that... that this debunks the point that populists make. And I should say populists on the left and the right. This goes back to Barry Goldwater, literally. This goes back to Ronald Reagan. Goldwater had the line, extremism in defense of liberty is no vice, and what was it, moderation in pursuit of justice is no virtue. And that was basically to say these electability questions that are going to send Gerald Ford or whomever aren't necessarily, I mean, Reagan himself said, bold colors with paint with bold colors instead of pale pastels. And the argument was that the Reagan Revolution would be politically more powerful than moderate Republicans at the ballot box because people are actually going to believe what you say. People are actually, or they're going to believe you believe what you say. They may not agree with you 100% of the time, but it's obviously a race by race designation. I mean, if you're talking about running somebody who's super, super MAGA in, the Boston area, it's probably actually not going to improve your margins. But in a special election where you can flood the zone and maybe try to sneak someone past, that is different. So at the other, what was the Pennsylvania race? Not Dr. Oz. I'm forgetting the really super MAGA candidate's name who lost, and he probably lost Mastriano because Doug Mastriano, because he was
right.
You know what I mean? Like that. Those sometimes. It's obvious that you needed just a better candidate, but that'll always get used to say, oh, it's populism that's killing the...
Right.
And so, sometimes you get kooky populist candidates. Christine O'Donnell, for example. That's a fun throwback.
Yeah.
And the problem really is the candidate, but it's often used as a smokescreen to say the populism was the problem, not the candidate was the problem, because populism can be extremely energizing, especially in little special election type races where you can send in a lot of money and the base gets really excited and you bring attention to the race. One final point, you made a really interesting observation that if they thought they could sneak Aftyn Behn past, they actually ended up getting a ton of Fox News coverage for the race, which probably woke up a bunch of Republicans in the area. Like they were covering this race a ton.
Right. So if you and maybe they would have ended up covering any race a ton, just because there would be enough anti-Trump energy that the polls would show at least a competitive race.
Right.
It certainly made it more salacious that they had the I hate country music and I hate Nashville and I'm a radical person and all that video of her doing a sit-in in the state legislature and they had stuff to work with that got the Fox News base riled up. Nashville 20-point swing. So even in Nashville it didn't quite swing enough.
It's significant though.
20-point swing is massive.
Yeah.
You don't see that much in politics, especially with turnout that high.
Right.
Low turnout in Nashville, maybe you see a 40-point swing, but it's a much narrower number of aggregate votes. A
Republican candidate could campaign on saying they hated Nashville and Tennessee, and everyone would know what they were talking about. And that's increasingly about to happen. The traffic, all the New York libs and the LA libs all moving to Nashville. So it's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, they've been running against the cities for 200 years.
It's funny.
Yeah, 2,000 years maybe.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show, ad-free, and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.